Tabannusi Builders of Ur is a game for 1 to 4 players with a playtime of about 120 minutes, designed by David Spada and Daniela Tassini, and published by Board&Dice. Tabannusi is set at a time and location that we often refer to as the cradle of civilization, the ancient city of Ur, which at the time was a coastal city with a great river flowing through it. The game board, which is double-sided, one side being for 3 to 4 players, the other one for 1 or 2 players, is divided into 5 different regions called districts. There are 3 common districts, a port district, and a ziggurat district. During the game, the players will be performing different actions, moving their architect from one district to the other as they are working to become the greatest architect of Ur. 3 of the districts are referred to as the common districts. This is where you'll be laying down project tiles, converting those project tiles into buildings for victory points when those districts are being scored. The port districts contains ship tiles, which the players can acquire for ongoing benefits, much like technology tiles that will improve actions that they're taking or give certain benefits when performing certain actions. The ziggurat districts is an area where you can acquire ziggurat tiles for further victory points based on other things that you have accomplished elsewhere in the game. At your disposal, you have 2 workers. The large one is your architect and the smaller one is your assistant. Each turn, you will be drafting a die from the district where your workers are located. Now here is the twist. The die that you're drafting, the number of the die will determine the district where you will be performing actions on your following turn. As you can see, each of the 5 districts are numbered from 1 through 5. So if I were to take this number 3 die, on my following turn, I would be performing an action in District 3. If instead I took the die number 4, I would be performing actions in the port districts on the following turn. This means that every turn you must plan accordingly so that not only this action during your current turn that it's as efficient as possible, but that you also set yourself up for a good action on your following turn. What are some of the different actions that you can perform? In the 3 common districts, most of the actions that you can perform are the same. You can lay down project tiles, you can convert those project tiles into buildings, and you can expand the network of water and garden tiles for additional victory points and benefits. Converting projects into buildings comes with certain costs, which you must manage because it's more expensive for you to convert projects that you yourself have contributed to, but the costs are lesser when you're converting projects that other players have built. This interesting tug-of-war and balance between reliance on other players, as well as setting up actions that other players may want to benefit from, timing your actions so that you can take advantage of projects that other players have laid down, creates a very interesting player interaction. You must also make sure to balance the actions that you take to construct buildings with the actions that you take to ensure that you can advance on the 3 mastery tracks in the game. Every time that a district is scored, your points in that district will be determined by the size of the buildings that you have multiplied by the modifier on the corresponding mastery track. That means that in order to maximize your victory points, not only must you construct several and large buildings, but you must also make sure that you advance on the same color mastery track as the buildings that you have constructed. Now, as the game advances, each turn the players will draft a die which will determine which district they will activate on their following turn. They will be performing actions in the district where their assistant is currently located, and then at the end of that turn, they will move on to the next district. At some point, a player will be drafting the final die in a district. They will still complete their current turn within that district, after which a scoring will be triggered. When a scoring happens, the district whose barge was depleted will be evaluated for scoring. The 3 common districts will be evaluated for the buildings belonging to all players. You will look at the size of your buildings, comparing that with how far you've advanced on the corresponding mastery track. In the port district, points will be awarded based on the buildings that you have constructed there, as well as the ship tiles that you have acquired. When the ziggurat district scores, each of the 3 ziggurat tiles will be evaluated according to their respective scoring conditions. Each player has a player board with 4 rows of houses. 3 of the rows correspond in color to the different color buildings that are available: white, yellow, and brown. The bottom row is used to construct buildings in the port district, or if any row should run out of houses. Each player also have access to a crate tile, which can be flipped over to produce a resource of its color. You must also manage your pool of claim markers, which you'll be using to claim ship tiles, to lay down projects in the various districts, and to show ownership of the different gardens that you have laid down. Tabannusi offers a lot of different ways for meaningful decisions, clever player interaction, and there's an interesting balance between the actions that you take on your current turn and the actions that you'll be performing on your future turns. Deciding which die to draft will determine where you'll be performing actions on your next turn, but every die that you draft will also become a resource of its color. After 5 scoring rounds, the game will come to an end, at which point all 5 districts will be evaluated. At the end of the game, players have the opportunity to score additional victory points if they're able to meet the requirements of their urban card, which was dealt to them at the beginning of the game. Each urban card depicts different requirements of the number of buildings that the player must have constructed in either the common districts or in the port district. Players will also have the opportunity to achieve different objective cards during the game for additional rewards and victory points. At the end of the game, the player with the most victory points is the winner. Tabannusi is a game with clever player interaction. Having to rely on the other players and timing your actions properly so that you can not only set up enticing options for the other players to construct buildings from the projects that you have created, but also make sure that you time your actions so that you can construct your own buildings in order to score victory points. You must properly manage your resources, the districts where you construct the buildings, as well as your progress on the different mastery tracks. Only the most efficient builder of Ur will be the winner.